The prayer this morning will be offered by the good delegate from Montgomery County, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to share the favorite prayer of our former colleague from the 8th District, longtime chairman of the Eric Caucus, who'd like to quote former Comptroller Louis Goldstein, "God bless you all, real good."
Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 members present, the House is now in session. Recognizing same day? Okay. All right, good. Calendar of third reading, House Bills number 68. Oh, yeah, we got to do that. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Clerk will take the call. There being 126, the House is still in session. Continuation of the calendar of third reading, House Bills number 68. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 611, Procurement Prevailing Wage, applicability.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the Minority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to the bill. I'm sure it's a well-intended bill from my friend, the delegate from Prince George's County, but I just thought that it was important all of us before voting on this need to understand a little bit about, I think, sort of a radical change or expansion of the prevailing wage law in Maryland. And I'll use the words of others to a large extent to explain this. This is from the fiscal note prepared by the Department of Legislative Services. The bill dramatically expands the application of prevailing wage requirements in two ways. First, it requires payment of prevailing wages for ongoing service contracts, not just construction contracts. Second, it requires payment of prevailing wages for mechanical service contracts valued at more than $2,500 instead of the $250,000 threshold under current law. Their word was dramatic, and I think that word is absolutely accurate. It is dramatic to reduce the threshold for prevailing wage requirements, which, whether you view them as good or bad, there's just very little doubt that they drive up the costs of construction and other projects. Reducing from $250,000 to $2,500 is an order of magnitude that I think is a little bit breathtaking. In addition, in the DLS fiscal note, the bill presents administrative challenges, this is in the small business effect section, to small businesses that provide mechanical services. First, to the extent that prevailing wages are more than their usual wage rates, they will have to maintain two separate wage scales for work on private and public sites. So you're a mechanical contractor, you have a repair contract in building A in the industrial park or the office park. It's a private company, and you pay your rate that all your employees have agreed to work. They're trained, they're skilled, they make that, and you have to maintain one set of books for that and how you do the taxes. And then they go work that afternoon or the next day on the government building right next to that. You have to pay them a completely different rate, and you have to have a separate administrative system to account for that. Second, again from the DLS independent report, they will have to comply with wage reporting requirements that are the foundation of prevailing wage enforcement efforts. Some small businesses find these requirements to be administratively burdensome. Beyond the effect that that will have, or the bill will have, just on private sector entities performing this work, the Maryland Department of Transportation wrote, and said that the State Highway Administration has several district-wide HVAC service contracts, which will now be included under mechanical systems, that would be impacted by House Bill 611. If subjected to prevailing wage requirements on these ongoing service contracts, there could be cost increases over the lifespan of the contracts in the range of 10% to 50% of labor bid prices. That's significant. These are our tax dollars. This isn't some private entity that just has to pay a little bit more to provide that prevailing wage. It's us that has to pay more. And they additionally indicated that the Maryland Aviation Administration, that maintains our world-class airport, the Thurgood Marshall BWI Airport, will likely see an impact to their service contracts for HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and elevator maintenance, and that MAAA is unique in that they have very large on-call maintenance contracts for elevators, escalators, and moving walkways, those things that we all use when we're going through the airport and you have a bunch of bags, you get on the moving walkway. It's a semi-complicated piece of machinery that has to be constantly maintained if it breaks down. It's difficult to calculate an impact. However, it is anticipated that any forced increase in labor costs will be reflected in the bids received for those contracts. I think you'll find that the Maryland Municipal League and the Maryland Association of Counties also have grave concerns with this bill because they believe that it will drive up their costs in unanticipated ways, particularly for their mechanical service contracts at places like schools, public schools that have HVAC systems and other things that need ongoing maintenance, and they have a contract that says, hey, we're going to pay you more than $2,500 this year to make sure that you can come out and keep all of these needed systems for our kids in working order. They'll now be subject to prevailing wage. Prevailing wage is a fine concept for large-scale government projects, for large-scale construction projects in an effort to try to increase the bargaining power and the bidding power so that someone can't come in and undercut you by saying, hey, I'm just going to pay all of my employees who are running heavy machinery, who are doing important jobs. I'm just not going to pay them anything. I'm going to pay them minimum wage. It's a fine way to do that. But this bill is an extension of those principles to things that don't fit and will cause a lot of deleterious effects. And that's not my words. That's the words of the folks who've analyzed this independently through our Department of Legislative Services and the words of the folks who represent us and work on these types of contracts as part of government on a day-to-day basis. I urge a red vote. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And we've segued from pizza to prevailing wage. Let me just add to what the minority leader was talking about, because he's 100% right that prevailing wage is a jurisdictional rate. So in other words, in Wicomico County, there's one wage rate per classification. If you go to Montgomery County, it's a different classification. These are generally large projects for which contractors spend days, weeks, and maybe even months on. Easy to track for large companies that understand, number one, the regulatory burden of complying with prevailing wage law, the reporting requirements of prevailing wage law, and then what happens if you violate any of these provisions of prevailing wage law, which in some cases can be very nuanced. And at the end of the day, after a few weeks have gone by and you realize that, for example, you've misclassified a worker from a laborer to they should have been an electrician. Those are major violations that large companies generally understand the rules of the road. What we're doing is we're taking these contractors who usually, in my opinion, choose not to do these large projects. They're normally smaller businesses that are able to go. They're faster to operate, faster to resolve complaints, concerns with down systems, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. They're not there for the big jobs. They're there to service the small jobs as needed. And so the question is, this contractor, let's take an HVAC contractor. They show up at work at 7 a.m. The question is, at what point in time at 7 a.m. when they leave the job site that day with their truck and they've got their schedule of 3 or 4 jobs, at what point do they start tracking the hours for the purpose of prevailing wage? And then if there is a job, if it's not a prevailing wage job, it's the first job at 8 a.m., they're there for an hour, they go to the second job, it's not a prevailing wage job. I mean, these are small contractors now. This isn't a big job. They go to that second job, it's not prevailing wage, and then here's the third job that they go on, and it's a school, just like the minority leader was talking about. All of a sudden, this small contractor that automatically, by definition, is probably not doing prevailing wage work is all of a sudden going to find themselves having to comply with every single part of the prevailing wage law. At what point do they say, okay, here the clock runs, and this is, we're going to pay $35, $40, $50 an hour for the prevailing wage rate for them to drive from the previous job to that job they work, and then the job after that, is that a prevailing wage job? Well, maybe not. Now, for large contractors that probably have this payroll system in place, they know how to deal with pay on one day when they're working at prevailing wage, the second day not. These small contractors simply will not be able to comply with the law. So what will happen in practice is you will find a lot of these small contractors that will fall in violation of the prevailing wage law. I will remind the legislative body here that we just passed this week a bill related to stop work orders on prevailing wage projects. Stop work orders. I have seen in my 8 years in the General Assembly a series of incremental changes in prevailing wage law. That stop work order is a major, major change, impediment to businesses who want to do that kind of work. Notwithstanding that, here we have a job for small companies, perhaps even new companies who just want to get into the business, and all of a sudden we're going to put them in the face of potential major violations of law. I think the minority leader got it right as he's laying out the argument. Why here? To what end and to what benefit are we taking this sort of law, putting it in the face of small family businesses, small companies that do not have sophisticated payroll equipment, and saying, okay, all of a sudden, make sure you report every 15 days to the Maryland Department of Labor the wage rates. And if you don't, do you realize what the violation is worth? Because we passed that bill too. And it's asking a lot. I am certain that the administrative burden on these entities, these schools, different government agencies, will go up because guess what? Even fewer and fewer companies are going to be willing, once they realize what they're getting stuck with, be willing to participate in these jobs. And that truly is the problem with prevailing wage. It's not merely the jurisdictional rate that sometimes is way out of kilter for the jurisdiction that we're doing the work in. It's the fact is that fewer companies participate and bid on prevailing wage work because they ultimately know at the end of the day what happens if they fall in violation in some part or provision of prevailing wage law. That's what drives the cost up, not the labor rate, but the fact that free market competition does not come into play. All of a sudden we're asking small companies to comply. I'm going to vote no on the bill.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to say thank you to the minority leader and my good fellow ECM committee mate for their comments. I'm going to keep mine very brief. I know my colleague here says his is in brevity, but it's not usually so. But having said that, I just want to say, and you'll have it, those who have the fiscal note or those who in opposition who have the fiscal note, I just want to reiterate that payment of prevailing wage is already required for the installation of mechanical building systems during the construction of a project. Why would we not include those here that is defined in this bill as far as mechanical systems? They are part of the project as well. I really don't have a fancy answer other than to say that, but I also want to point out that the only opposition to this bill was MACO, and that was simply because it usurped the local authority over the maintenance faculty techniques. So with that said, I'm more of a, I'm not saying not everyone's a common sense legislator, but I look at an overall picture and say that we are, yes, Mr. Minority Leader, that we are here to look out for every employee and make sure that they get paid their dues. And so why would we not? It is an expansion, as you said, but I don't feel it is that much of an extension to make sure that these employees get paid fairly, as well as those who do the construction projects. And so with that, I would urge a green vote.
Is there any further debate?
Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from Carolyn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be very, very brief, I promise. The issue at hand, if the issue at hand is wages, and we want to increase these wages, I don't know that it's a problem. I can tell you, even in our economic depressed areas in which I represent, the trades are not depressed. Their wages are not depressed. Man, they can charge whatever the heck they want to charge right now because the workforce shortage. The issue that we're arguing right now isn't the wages, because they're there. I think most oftentimes the wages are above and beyond what's required. The issue here are these small business owners. It's the burdensome regulation that these small business owners have to face because of prevailing wage. That's what we're arguing, and that's the reason why we don't want to lower that threshold, because it's going to include more businesses who just don't know how to deal with these regulations or this mandate. So I just want that to be said. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to remind people that I just feel like I need to bring us back a little bit, because we are talking about small businesses and the impact. But these are small businesses that bid on these contracts. You hear me say this all the time. We talk about prevailing wage. You know, follow your treasure and you'll find your heart. We invest in what's important to us. This is state monies. These small businesses do not have to participate. I respond to RFPs on a regular basis by my choice. When I decide to go for a bid, I go for it. If I can't afford it, I don't. If I don't have the capacity, I don't. We're not putting these businesses in an awkward situation because they don't have to be in that situation. It's a choice to work for the state. It's a choice to bid on state projects. But we're showing our values that we're going to ensure not only we get quality work, but we pay these individuals what they're worth. And to be very clear, currently we have the highest threshold in the nation. If we pass this bill, we'll have the second highest threshold in the nation. We're not doing something untowardly. We're not doing something unique. We're merely trying to play catch up, pay these individuals what they are. And I will remind you, these are state funds. Small businesses participate by choice. And I do on a regular basis. And you're correct. Prevailing wages at some point may be more expensive than I would pay, but guess what? I don't have to participate if I don't want to. It's up to the state to demand and make sure that when we take care of our workers, but we get the best qualified workers for the job. That's what prevailing wage does. This is our money, this is our values, and this is how we choose to exercise our values by demonstrating that we're going to pay workers what they're due. Please vote for this bill.
Madam Speaker.
Chairman of the Environment.
Delegate from District 17.
Delegate from District 17.
I would just like to comment on the administrative burden associated with this. It's not that much of an administrative burden. I'm the CFO of a company that has 30 employees. Our revenues are in the range of $10 million. I don't know for small or medium, it depends on the definition. But I will say this, occasionally we bid on federal and state contracts where Davis-Bacon rules are required. And so where do I go? Well, what I do is I Google Excel spreadsheet for Davis-Bacon, and there's the sheet. I populate it with the data from my payroll, and I email it off, and at least to me, it's not a big hassle. And so, Madam Speaker, I would at least, I'm not going to opine about the, the social benefits of higher wages. I agree with them. But as far as administrative burden is concerned, I just don't see it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Eastern Shore.
So delegate from District 37B, we bid on and do work in prevailing wage and Davis-Bacon work, and the obligations under Davis-Bacon are not nearly as rigorous as Maryland's prevailing wage law. And I would just suggest that a violation of prevailing wage law follows significant penalties and provisions. And to the chairman's point, I think he's right. Companies don't have to participate on work. They can willingly choose or not choose. So the question is, when was the last time you had to hire an electrician or a plumber or an HVAC mechanic? How long did it take that contractor to actually be able to put a worker on that job site? The question you should ask before you bid on this bill, is this one going to help get work done faster when the HVAC equipment goes down in Baltimore City this fall or late spring, late summer? Is it going to allow an electrician, when the lights don't work in that school, to snap and show up to the job? When you have fewer companies that are willing to participate on prevailing wage work, the answer is clearly no. And so that's why you got to vote against this bill.
Clerk will take the call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 92 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 611, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 632, Baltimore East-West Corridor Transit Study Requirements.
It's on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 94 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 632, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 794, Public Health Opioid Restitution Fund Advisory Council.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 128 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 794, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1041, Department of Human Services Family Investment Program, Contract and Program Review.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 121 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1041, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1048, Commission on African American History and Culture Alterations, Senator Verda Welcome Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 104 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1048, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1380, General Provisions, LGBTQ Veterans Honorable Discharge, Restoration of Honor Act.
Is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 125 votes in the affirmative, House Bill 1380, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed. Report.
Madam Speaker?
Yes, gentleman from Anne
Vote change on House Bill 611 from nay to yay.
Gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Change on House Bill 632 from nay to yay.
Gentleman from Queen Anne's.
House Bill 632 from yay to nay. I'm sorry. Nay to yay, I'm sorry.
Okay, any other vote changes? Okay. Report of the Committee on Health and Government Operations, report number 15. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 1078, Cannabis Regulation Revisions. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the Vice Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
As amended, House Bill 1078 prohibits certain persons from purchasing for or selling products containing Delta 8 THC to an individual under the age of 21 years. The bill also requires the Medical Cannabis Commission, in consultation with the Department of Agriculture and certain stakeholders, to study and make recommendations on the classification and regulation of THC other than Delta 9 THC. Amendment number 1 adds sponsors and makes technical changes. Amendment number 2 prohibits a person who distributes products containing Delta 8 or Delta 10 THC from purchasing for sale or selling those products to an individual under the age of 21 years, and provides for the study to be conducted by the Medical Cannabis Commission. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. The question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Report of the Committee on Ways and Means. Report number 17. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 146, Education, Reportable Offenses, and Student Discipline Alterations. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the Vice Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 strikes provisions altering the time, manner, and crimes that constitute a reportable offense and requires each county board of education to study the outcomes of reportable offenses over the last 5 school years. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. Question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill to its title? Gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was wondering if I could hold this bill for the purposes of an amendment to the end of the calendar.
Sure.
In the calendar.
Thank you.
Question for the body is a special order HB 146 to the end of the calendar. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 186, Income Tax Subtraction Modification for Centenarians. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much consider the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
This amendment increases the maximum value of the subtraction modification created by this bill. I move the amendment.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 467, Education, Teacher Certification, Montessori Schools. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1255, Education, Physical Restraint and Seclusion, Limitations, Reporting and Training. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 clarifies that the definition of seclusion does not include exclusion and removes juvenile services education program from the limitations placed on seclusion. I move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1276, Baltimore City Youth Data Hub Establishment. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
The amendment clarifies who may participate in the data hub and what information may be shared. Move the amendment.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. Question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1280, Public Schools Mathematics Credit, College Preparatory, Computer Science, or Computer Programming Course. Favorable.
The question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 1305, Early Childhood Education, Pre-Kindergarten Programs, Montessori Schools. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
The amendment alters qualifications for participation in the Blueprint Pre-Kindergarten Expansion Grant Program and Mixed Delivery System for non-public Montessori schools and Montessori programs in non-public schools. I move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Recognizing gentleman from Kent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Vote change on House Bill 1048 from nay to yay.
Ju-
Ma-
We're
Madam
not, can you?
Madam Speaker, I think my partner's hitting my button, Madam Chair.
We're not.
We got to wait.
Hmm? Okay. All right. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Gentleman from Kent.
Madam Speaker, I apologize. I jumped the gun to see you. I've got problems with my glasses today. And I'm going to vote change on House Bill 1048 from nay to yay.
The gentleman from, where are you from? Queen Anne's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a problem with my seatmate today. Vote change on House Bill 1048 from nay to yay.
Gentleman from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Vote change on 1041 from nay to yay and 1048 from nay to yay. Thank you.
Gentleman from Carolyn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll do the same. 1048, change it to a green vote.
And where's it? Gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I guess I have a problem with my seatmate as well. Change vote on 1048 from nay to yay.
Any more vote changes? Okay.
Madam Speaker, vote change.
Gentlelady from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Vote change on HB 1048 from nay to yay. Thank you.
Report of the Committee on Ways and Means. Clerk, read the first bill. Oh, I'm sorry. Report number 12.
House Bill 433, Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners, student members, and task force to study compensation. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing Vice Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 removes the second student member of the board and alters the manner in which the student member is elected. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentlelady from Baltimore.
Thanks. Could the floor leader rise for a quick question?
Vice Chair of the Committee.
Yes. Hi. Just really quick, was there any changes made to this bill that the Baltimore City delegation did not approve of in full?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 522, St. Mary's County tax sales, auctioneer expenses. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 842, Coward County hotel rental tax, distribution of revenue. Favor the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
The amendments are technical. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendments have been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read the next bill.
House Bill 865, Howard County due process proceedings for children with disabilities, burden of proof.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much to be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
The committee amendment alters the sunset from 5 years to 3 years. I move the amendment.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Gentleman from Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Vote change, please, on House Bill 1048 from a nay to a yes.
This is not the time to do that. Let me finish. If you're going to do a vote change, let me get finished the bill that we're on, please. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Gentleman from Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I did jump the gun a little bit. A vote change on House Bill 1048 from a nay to a yay. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel, closest to me.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Vote change on HB 1048 from nay to yay.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel against the wall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1048 from nay to yay.
Okay. Report of the Committee on Judiciary, report number 25. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 991, Baltimore City Civilian Review Board. Favor of the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the committee chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 clarifies the authority of the Baltimore City Civilian Review Board, specifies that the Civilian Review Board may not exercise jurisdiction over matters within the jurisdiction of an administrative charging committee, specifies the minimum funding level for the Civilian Review Board and what that funding may be used for, strikes provisions that would have authorized the Civilian Review Board to act as the city's police accountability board, specifies in the city's public local laws certain requirements regarding the city's police accountability board and complaint process, specifies that the city's police accountability board may not exercise jurisdiction over matters within the jurisdiction of an administrative charging committee, specifies the minimum funding level for the city's police accountability board and what the funding may be used for, provides for the abrogation of the Civilian Review Board in lieu of the Police Accountability Board on or before April 1st, 2023, and specifies procedure for transfer, and requires a memorandum of understanding regarding the right to hire independent counsel. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments have been adopted. Question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Special order calendar number 53. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 1020, Developmental Disabilities Administration, Self-Directed Services, Self-Direction Act of 2022. Favorable report is amended and adopted.
Recognizing the maker of the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the Vice Chair. All my questions have been answered.
Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Special. Special order calendar, House Bill 12.
Madam Speaker.
Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 12, Worcester County Public Safety, Buildings Used for Agritourism.
Move so to be considered the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
The amendment changes the sponsor to make it the whole delegation. Move the amendment.
Question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Question now is adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Special order calendar, House Bill 86. Clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 86, Landlord and Tenant, Residential Leases, Tenant Rights and Protections, Tenant Protection Act of 2022.
Recognizing the maker of the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The floor leader and I spoke, and I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Special order calendar, House Bill 146. Maker of the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The amendment's been ordered, but it has not been acquired yet. Would it be okay to hold this till appropriate time next session?
No.
It's up to committee.
No. We're not okay with the special order. We gave the gentleman time to get the amendment.
Respectfully, we had about 10 minutes, and I'd like to bring an amendment in good faith.
No. Respectfully.
Madam Speaker, I press the motion.
We're running out of time. It's not being he's not being disrespectful. We're running out of time.
I understand. I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay. Thank you. Any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading.
Vote change, Madam Speaker. Wait, okay. I'll wait. Vote change, Madam Speaker.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I found my green button. It's HB 1048 from red to green.
Okay.
Vote change, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
HB 1048 from the ADA.
Vote change.
Yes. Gentleman from St. Mary's.
Yeah, House Bill 1048 to green. Thank you.
Okay. Make sure we get the gold slips.
Madam Speaker.
The minority whipped.
Same thing, 1048 to green.
Okay. Gold slips ahead.
That's because it changed. They changed it. I had to read the
Okay. That ends the work at the desk. Could the two gentlemen who are standing right here, two gentlemen, get to your desk, please. Because you're blocking. Any committee announcements? Any committee announcements? Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. One of my subcommittees is meeting, so we will have a voting session at 2:45.
Any other committees? Yes. Anne Arundel?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Anne Arundel County delegation will meet immediately following the floor session for a quick vote.
Okay. Any other meeting? Any caucus announcements? Democratic caucus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Democratic caucus will have a virtual meeting at 10 a.m. on Monday. 10 a.m. on Monday. Check your inbox.
Okay. Republican caucus? They're good? Okay. And quorum call before adjournment.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their presence? Clerk will take the call. There being 130 members present, this House is still in session. Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand adjourned until Monday, March 21st at 11 a.m., Legislative Day, March 14th.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thank you for being here today.